one of the old collapsible aluminum tent poles and screw a spear, like a Hawaiian spear that's got the 3 prongs open that goes into the fish, into the end of the tent pole. The tent pole collapsed. It was small, lightweight. You carried that spear separately, and that made for an ideal spear.
Wow. You can't imagine when I hear these stories how unqualified I feel to participate in anything remotely adventurous. Because I hear you and I hear these other guys talking, and I'm like, wow, there's so much I do not know how to do. And we're going to talk about you just biking up the coast. And, you know, I bike all the time, but the prospect of just you basically just you did a Forrest Gump. You just went out and said, I'm done, and I think I'll just go with what I got. Take your bike and you went.
Dude, it was the hardest thing, I think, hardest/easiest thing I've ever done, being that I was literally squirreling away what I thought would be enough high-density fat and protein food rations, burying them in the sand on the Santa Barbara beach, because I knew that I'd need X amount of calories to get me up the coast, back up to Oregon. And of course, I ate through that stuff my first couple days. But as luck would have it, you know, I was riding through agricultural areas. There'd be a crate that fell off the back of a truck that had zucchinis or squash in it. I'd pick up some of those and add that to my larder. You know, traveling on the weekends, there was the craziest stuff that would blow off of people's cars. I would literally be at the end of like a set of clothes that I've been living in for days, and there would be a brand new pair of shorts and a sweatshirt that had just blown off of some surfer's pickup along the side of the road. And so I'd stop, I'd undress, I'd put those clothes on and ride off.
Wow, and tell me how, from where to where, what was the biggest length of your trip?
So it was about 2,000 miles, about a total of 59,000 feet of elevation gain, going from Santa Barbara over San Marcos Pass, up through San Luis Obispo to the Highway 1, up through Big Sur, Carmel, through San Francisco, Marin County to the Pacific Coast, up through the Redwoods, Mendocino, Humboldt, across the Oregon border in a Tyvek suit. Those DuPont hazmat suits are the ultimate riding fatigue. They're lightweight. You can stay warm and dry in them. And I remember one night.
What were you doing this on?
I was doing it on a mountain bike.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask one other question about your carpentry skills. Let's assume that you're dropped off in Missouri and you got to make your way to the Pacific Ocean, and part of your trip involves obviously rafting up the river. And could you, I don't know, hollow out a log and make yourself a canoe if you had to?
Yeah, I mean, so if I was dropped off in Missouri, which I have ridden through, I rode across the country. My whole family actually set the stage for me. In 1985, we rode from here to Yorktown, Virginia, and we rode through a good portion of Missouri and the South. And so I'm pretty familiar with the with the trees that grow there. You find one that's got some rot, and you do as the natives did. You burn that rot out, and you know, if it's rotting, it's probably dry, which means it's going to float better, and go from there. Yep.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about is a lot of these projects that we're talking about involve getting teamed up with a group of people. If you were teamed up with some people, who would you definitely not want on your team? Man, I'm talking personality traits. What would drive you crazy?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked me what personality traits would drive me crazy on an expedition like that. And I'd have to say that I'm the kind of guy that I can see the answer before the question. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I kind of know what's coming, and so people who think that their way is they're like, you know, trust me, this is the way. Like, I'll allow them to do that, and I'll allow them to fail, and then I'm okay being the last resort. Like in the sort of the chain of command, when all else fails, you know.
Yeah.
But I would appreciate being in a kind of a syncopated, cooperative environment where, you know, it wasn't like somebody just decided they were going to take charge because they were out for themselves.
No, people that are deluded also by their own misguided overconfidence.
Yeah, they are. They're totally deluded. That's so funny, you know. But I think people that wouldn't be afraid to get that. It's like when you're cold and you've got hypothermia.
Right.
You know, you actually have to like have body contact. That's like one last resort to stay warm is to have personal body contact.
Yeah.
So even though I'm not homosexual, I wouldn't be opposed to having to lay on top of another man or have another man lay on top of me to stay warm if that was the last resort.
You gotta do what you gotta do to survive and for the group to survive.
To the group to survive. So I would appreciate it maybe if there was another attractive single female that was cast, obviously.
We'll see what we can do. Do me a favor, say your name and where you're from one more time for the camera.
My name is Justin Highland Williams, and I'm from Sun River, Oregon.
You may stop recording. That was fantastic.
Thanks, buddy. I'm glad you thought so.
I did. I sure did. And yeah, you're great. And it's very funny and lots of personality. And as far as I can tell, that's exactly what they want.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It makes me feel good. And I'm not gay.
First of all, thank you, Dune, by the way.
You're welcome. I've got some good footage.
Awesome. Will you do me a favor? Will you upload both of those videos? Because there's stuff from the first half and the second part that I want to use. And you can just upload them in separate files unless you want to link them together. I don't know what kind of editing skills you have. But you can just put them in two separate... Can you put them on YouTube?
Sure.
I'm assuming you can, but
Sure.
people don't know how.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then, how do you want to see him? Just send you a link?
Just send me a link. It's in the natgeocasting at gmail.com.
Okay.
The two links to the two YouTube videos.
Okay.
We'll rip them on our end.
Okay.
Sweet.